Thank you so much for watching Landumc Goes There. Please subscribe and hit the like button and the bell notification button. If you've seen Field of Dreams, which most people have, you more than likely have a pretty strong opinion on it. The majority of the people are moved by its heartfelt story of personal redemption. This Oscar-nominated film, which made its debut in May of 1989, is still being talked about all these years later after its release. Its writer and director, Phil Robinson, had loved W.P. Kinsella's Shoeless Joe since that book was first published in 1982. Despite 20th Century Fox's repeated insistence through the years that the story wasn't commercial enough to be adapted into a movie, he continued working on a script for it. Eventually, he sold the screenplay to Universal Studios. The book, Shoeless Joe, evolved from a short story, which was called Shoeless Joe Comes to Iowa. It was a 20-page short story that was done by Kinsella. After some high-up editor read this short story, he contacted Kinsella and convinced him to turn the premise into a full-length novel. He wrote the guy back and told him that he would do it, but that he needed some guidance in doing it, as he had published 4 collections of short stories, but had never written a published novel. When the movie was first shown to test audiences, it was using the title Shoeless Joe, but audiences said it reminded them of a hobo. The director then called Kinsella to tell him that the movie's name was being changed to Field of Dreams. The writer was okay with it, as one of his own ideas for the book's title was the Dream Field, and it was apparently his publisher who pushed for the title of Shoeless Joe. A difference between the book and its Hollywood adaptation is that in the novel, there's a fence with a door in it that separates the ball field from the cornfield. After a period of thought about it, they decided, why build a fence? The cornfield became the wall. Kevin Costner wasn't initially considered for the movie because he had just starred in Bull Durham. Although he was the first actor to come to mind by the director, he had just starred in this other baseball movie. A Universal executive got Costner to read the script anyway, and he decided to do it because he felt it would be akin to the movie It's a Wonderful Life. The author and his wife almost appeared in the feature film. They were in the crowd scenes of the PTA meeting, which were shot in a gymnasium in Farley, Iowa. They were trapped in this gymnasium for a full day of sweltering retakes, but surprisingly, they never ended up in the final cut of the movie. But somebody that was in it was Ben Affleck and Matt Damon. They were extras in the film. Damon was 17 years old, and Affleck turned 16 during the summer of 1988, when the film was shot on location for scenes in Fenway Park. More than 10 years later, Affleck would star in another Robinson-directed film called The Sum of All Fears. And on the first day of shooting, he reportedly told the director, "Nice working with you again." Now there's a nice little Watergate Easter egg in the film. While walking through the streets of Chisholm, Minnesota, Ray spots a campaign poster for Richard Nixon in a storefront window. And guess what's on display right behind it? An assortment of tape recorders. It's not quite as visible in the first release of the film, but since the movie has been digitized, they are much more clear. There's a deleted scene from the film where Ray gets his hearing checked. Before Ray starts obeying this mysterious voice that's speaking to him, he tries to find a logical explanation for it. There's a scene that was done that has him going to the ear doctor to have this hearing checked. Ultimately, that footage wound up on the cutting room floor. A lot of people regularly misquote the movie's most famous line. The actual quote is, "If you build it, he will come. Not if you build it, they will come." This line went on to be ranked as the number 39 of 100 greatest American movie quotes of all time. Filming took place on an actual cornfield turned baseball diamond in Dyersville, Iowa. But a season-long drought led to the need for some cosmetic touch-ups to this field. You see, the grass had died out in a lot of spots, so they coated this dying grass with some green vegetable dye and latex turf paint. Moonlight Graham, that's portrayed in the film, is an actual real person. The writer used Archibald Moonlight Graham's real-life story for his book. The book's author found Graham's name in a baseball encyclopedia he received as a Christmas gift, and he decided that the name was better than anything he could come up with on his own. In real life, Graham became a beloved town doctor in Minnesota. I've actually visited his grave. When you see it, there's always baseballs left on his tombstone. Surprisingly enough, Jimmy Stewart was the first choice to play this role of Moonlight Graham, but Jimmy passed on it. Burt Lancaster himself initially didn't get it, but a friend convinced him to take the part, and in later interviews, he felt like it was the kind of movie that Frank Capra might have directed and that James Stewart might have starred in. Now, if you look at the numbers nowadays, Field of Dreams has been voted as one of the greatest sports movies of all times. But this film holds some secrets that nobody's letting go of. One being, who was the voice? The person who spoke the lines. If you build it, he will come, ease his pain, and go the distance. Some people really believe it's Ed Harris, while others think it's the movie's star, Kevin Costner. And even others believe it's another voice from a movie star, or maybe even another character in the film played by Ray Liotta. But the director of the film says that none of these guesses are right, and he's not turning loose of the information that he holds close to his chest. He just states that it's probably not who you think it is, and he wants it to remain a secret. He likes a great mystery, and that's what he's got. Go back and watch this fantastic film from 1989. It really is a good one. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll continue to chase the classics.